Hey, now, good evening. You're on with Big J. And you know what time it is. Let's talk. I'm tired. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sick and tired of YouTube content creators getting on here, blowing smoke, and 90% of the subject matter that they're discussing, they don't know the facts. So tonight, I'm going to bring some facts because I'm tired. Being a 57, almost 58-year-old African American male in the United States of America, it is time for us to stop blaming others and look internally to what we are struggling with and what our problems are. Just as many people who get on YouTube and create content is as many individuals who can go and volunteer in schools, volunteer in community centers, volunteer in development centers, and help our community. It's amazing that when the athlete makes millions of dollars after it's over, then they want to come back to the community and be a part. I don't cuss, so I can't say what I want to say. But let me help you out with something. Instead of going and getting those kids from Palos Verdes and other places who can afford your camp, won't you go get a bus or two and go down to the African American communities and just pick up kids who can't afford to pay the $500, $600, $700, $1,000 a day? So stop with the nonsense. Stop. I'm going to bring some facts today. You know, so it is still about inclusiveness and separation, because when you're separated, that means you're not on the same page, and the agenda or the vision is totally different. You can't come in this community never being a part, say we're going to fix something. Go sit down somewhere. Go debate somewhere among yourselves. The real YouTubers are tired of it. I don't care about dollars. I don't care about super likes, super chats. I'm going to bring the real noise tonight. First, I want to say thank you to all those who subscribe to our channel, all those who support Big J Let's Talk, D-Mac Let's Talk, Macrina, Nine, Adam, all those. It's only a few of us, but you know what we do? We study to search the truth. I feel it is disrespectful to get on here and tell you things and it does not merit the truth. That's just someone using someone. So tonight, I want to break down my opinion about a certain group of people and a community. Let me start like this. In college, there's something that always disturbs me. I grew up in gang-infested neighborhoods. Never was the athlete. My son was the athlete. My brother was the athlete, but I wasn't. You couldn't even come outside unless you were willing to die, get shot, or fight. So do I know about it? 100%. So this is something that plagued me going into college. And I wrote a paper, and I'll never forget, and because the teacher wanted to know where the thoughts came from, and they published it in the school paper. And the title of the paper was called The Economics of Violence. Listen to me again. The Economics of Violence. Let me throw this disclaimer out there. Every black kid won't code. Every black kid won't be an engineer. Every African American kid won't be an athlete. There's something going on right behind our noses, and we are asleep. Did you know that each state is given a certain amount of money based on the lottery system so the impoverished communities can live and survive and receive better education? Do you know in California that most of the African American schools, and where kids who are African American go to school, those schools are considered P5 schools, to where the state, man, y'all need to shut up, real. Some of y'all who just all this back and forth fussing. These kids are in school and they're considered P5, to where the state has taken over. Teachers come and go like water. And we're told, Cody, listen, most of us don't even understand what the reality of technology is. Technology is only about one thing: binary numbers, 0 and 1. Everything after that is based on HTML or JavaScript or some type of script. So what you're teaching kids who already know certain things, because they pick these things up based on a GUI application, and every kid ain't gonna do that. But if we're going to talk about things, let's break it down and give us the description to those who we want to suggest that they take this or these courses of action. Let me get back to the paper I wrote. So the paper was called The Economics of Violence. And what I did, I likened it to 3 trains. The first train I called Train A. The second train I called Train B. And the third train was train C. Now here's train A. Train A are all those old slave owners who produced a level of value in economics based on the backs of others. Hey, that's the way it went. All right. There was something also called indentured service. Those servants, those individuals became slaves, all right, to buy their freedom and to get money. All right, economics. But what I want you to understand is those individuals, now that 2% of those slave owners, their children run the country. All right. You'll see them in Forbes and the Fortune 500. They've never been to college. They're riding on the backs of generational wealth. All right. That's why Chris Rock said there's only two type of people. There are wealthy people and there are poor people. There's no in between. Listen to me again. I don't care how long you play or what you do. There's no in between. You're still controlled by a bank unless you own your house. I wonder who owns those banks. If you buy a car or a vehicle, you're still controlled by someone else. So the narratives that I keep hearing spitting or being spat out is really irritating. It's frustrating. I don't care what degree you got. Common sense is not common to all. Watch this. So train A, they control everything. So if we're going to tell the narrative, let's tell it right. So what train A does, train A now going into the corporate understanding, because we leave the agricultural area, we leave the industrial railroad, now we go into the technological era, right? And that was done in Silicon Valley. But those individuals who control it are still children of those individuals who had the economic wherewithal to take it and start the .com business and other things that deal with the area of technology. See, give people information. Stop saying the same thing. I'm giving them information, and they're going to understand some things tonight. Watch this. So then train B goes to work for train A. So train B becomes the executives on Wall Street, Dean Witter, Shearson and Lehman Brothers. So there be all these conglomerates who control train A's money, so they don't have to deal with it. But you say, Big J, who's train C? Let me show you. Train C is all those African-American youth who are watching train B and train A, and they want to achieve the same level of economics, but they can't. Why? Because the level of poverty in their community does not even dictate that they're going to receive a proper education to even work for Dean Witter, a Shearson Lehman Brothers. They're not going to do it. So what do? Instead of going, they don't go rob train A or train B. What they do, they create this thing in the community called drugs, called gangs. And what that does, it allows them to rob, kill some, each other. And what that does, it gives them that platform, as Chris Rock said, to go buy me a SUV with some spinners. With some spinners. But no one has taught them, all these great athletes, no one has come back to the community and taught them how to manage your money, what you need to do to be successful. You don't have to be an NBA star. You don't have to be an NFL star. You don't have to be a doctor or a lawyer. But what you need to do is learn a management system. How are we going to teach kids coding and they can't manage a dollar? The first money they get, they go out and buy a pair of Michael Jordan tennis shoes. And they're struggling for that. Or they go to the weed shop and they help the weed man get rich and his chemist. Somebody talk to me. Talk to me, because this is a reality. And when I find out after doing this paper, a professor came to me, he said, Robert, he said, go back to your community. I want you to find out some things for me. I said, okay, what do you want me to do? I want to find out the percentage of apartment dwellers and the percentage of homeowners. I'm like, why is he asking me to do that? Why is that necessary? I just wrote a great paper. Why is that necessary? But lo and behold, let me tell you, all those monies and those dollars from each state lottery, it goes to the divisions of the highest taxpayers. Wait, what do you mean, Big J? Those who own homes, Palos Verdes, Valencia, all those places like that, where there are homeowners, there are tax dollars. The money are given to those schools. All right, so those kids have brand new books, brand new iPads, brand new computers, and they're given the opportunity to succeed based on what's being developed in their own community. But wait, now if we come back to the African American community, Latino, also minorities, I came up with the number that 70% of all minorities live in apartments. Well, what does that mean, Big J? If you live in an apartment, you don't pay property taxes. So that means you don't get that lottery money. So if you don't get the lottery money, then that means there's no support or no things that can help those kids achieve and get out of bondage, because that's what it is. You have to run from seeing another brother who you went to elementary with who might take your life. Ain't that something? Who might smoke you because now you live on two sides of the tracks. So this is the truth. So then you have all these individuals who play sports and do other things. They don't even understand. I just watched on somebody's channel, they talking about building tiny homes. No, help get people off drugs, get people back in the system and allow them to build, I'm not going to say build wealth, but allow them to build things to where their credit is repaired. Before you teach a child how to code, teach a child the value of economics and a dollar. Teach that child what it means to sit down and save 10% of your own money. Pay 10% of yourself. Don't get in debt. That's our community's biggest problem. And some of the things that I hear with these quote unquote intellectual individuals drives me crazy, because you have been removed from the community, but your advice is based to the community. Get a life. I'll dialogue and I'll debate with anybody. Doesn't matter. And if I can't do it, I know some young people who I coached and mentored. They're doctors and lawyers. They'll do it. I'm telling you, because we have to teach and we have to reach beyond the economic poverty. Certain things my mother taught me I will never do. I will never call another black man a nigga. I'm not going to do it. You do it, that's your business. Am I telling people don't use the word? No, I just said I will not, because people die behind that word. I know it's a different dispensation and generation of kids who don't care, but I'm saying I will never do it. On this show, you won't hear it. As you saw our live last night, all those young people on that live last night are professional young people. We have someone worked in the medical field doing great. We have someone who's a paralegal on her way to be an attorney. See, this is what I push. This is what we push. We have someone who was a college basketball player, graduated, got her degree, now teaching, and back helping other kids in the college system. DMAC, military. Myself, education, 24 years, working with special needs children. So do you understand what I'm saying? Let's get involved by learning the matrix and the reality of what's going on. So then African Americans and all minorities cannot get state money because there is no property tax. So if you go work in Compton, California, like I did for a few years, you'll understand why all the grass areas are brown and dirt and there's no grass. And you'll understand to why all the kids have to go to class with bulletproof windows. Oh my goodness. You can't talk to me about it if you ain't lived it. I'm sorry. None of that stuff that Charlemagne does, that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is how we're going to reach a group of kids, the next generation that's on their way out, because the level of drugs in our own community. And we do this crap on the internet, and we think kids are not watching. The level of drugs are killing our community. Kids are dying in our community. And we say we're examples? Nah. It's called the economics of violence. You got your little bit, now you want to come back and spew your junk? I'm going to tell as many people as I can, we don't want to hear it. Because unless you're going to get out there and do the grassroots stuff of it, and I ain't talking about because you got a foundation. Most athletes have foundations so they can write money off. Truth be told, they have foundations so they can hide money. I have 2 LLCs. Why did they do it? So I'm gonna give you something. You come over here and say you spoke for me. I came and say I spoke for you. Let's give each other $100,000 for that. Let's write it off. So the foundation is not actually a benefit. It's actually used to pad your pockets. Yeah, right. So then the economics of violence. So then if you have the kids who are in Palos Verdes and other places, who are going to school, Valencia in the Valley, and these kids are receiving the best of education, it's not because they're Caucasian. It's because their parents own everything and pay property tax. But there's no property tax, and there are apartments, individuals will suffer because there's no community aid or community development to those who live in apartments. Do you got it? Yes. Like I said before, people will go out and have these NBA camps for kids. They're not having them for the apartment dwellers because they can't afford it. So you got to look how the whole thing is packaged. So who are they having them for? You got it right. You got it right. That's why Michael Jordan is the way he did. They learned that economics is not an African American or minority community. The money is where the same thing, the state gives it. So instead of us going back to our own community, guess what I'm going to do? We're going to go to where the state is giving funding. Why are you going to give folk with money? And if the athletes and those who are in that position, I thank God that we have doctors who are part of our program. We're going to have a couple of doctors come on and talk. And we're going to talk about certain things, how to break certain cycles. You know, I don't care if we only got almost 3,000 subscribers. I don't care if we only have 150,000 views. At least as we reach one person on earth, we've done our job. Those who are part of Big J, Let's Talk. I'd rather do my job, have less, and affect people with more. A great friend of mine who's a millionaire now told me, Robert, I would rather have 10% of 100 people than 100% of myself. Because if I get sick or I stop, it all stops. That's why I don't buy into social media and try to become a part of someone else. Because if their narrative goes away, then what do you have? I want to be able to provide for my family, but based on me developing a system of quote unquote eating. We got it? So that's what's going on. All this other stuff is unnecessary. Let me read something to you. I don't hear anybody give you these numbers. We all talk about analytics and everything, but are we really concerned? Are we really concerned? The study found that grossly disproportionate number of minority students are identified as eligible for service. Did you what it just said? Most minorities are eligible for some type of service. This is why the country couldn't stand Walter Mondale. Mondale was always talking about giving something away. We got to give this away. We got to give this away. And the things that he, as a president, were giving away were not geared towards minorities. What do you call that thing? Hey, babe. Oh, welfare. Welfare wasn't for African Americans. Welfare was for those Caucasian individuals whose husbands went to war. And it was wartime for the women who couldn't work. But guess what? We found out about it, and then that was over with. So now everything is geared to us being eligible for something. And too often placed in isolated and restrictive educational systems and settings. So these same kids who qualify for these particular issues or for these particular programs, they're isolated not just by the classroom, like I told you, between Palos Verdes and Compton. There is an isolation of distance. Watch this. When compared with their white counterparts, African American children were almost 3 times more likely to be labeled mentally retarded, according to a paper by Thomas Parrish, managing research scientist at the American Institute of Research. I've heard none of these guys who's going back with each other, talking about each other, say this. I heard none of them. So guess what? These kids that can't learn coding. So what do? You change the environment. You change the environment. The environment affects people in different ways. My degree is in sociology. Change the environment. See, because if you can change the environment, then you can change the child. Because you remove the child from a drug situation. I did another paper in college called Snow Babies. When they remove certain kids from certain situations, these kids end up becoming doctors and lawyers. Why? Because they were removed. Then there's some kids you can't remove because no matter what, they're born into that and they will not leave it no matter what. So what do? We go in and we change the environment. My wife is a substance abuse counselor, and that's what we do. That's all we did. Even before they came out with free healthcare service, that's what we did. We went out and she was able to get the big trucks and the big 18-wheelers and all that stuff to come take care of people. See, change the environment. Every kid won't be successful at coding, all right? That's a misnomer. And if we don't really understand technology, guess what folks gonna do? To coding. No! Change the environment. But we can't change the environment sitting at home. I want to hear about a foundation. I know exactly what a foundation is. And I used to work for Brandy Norwood, which is Moesha, all right? And so I know all about that, all right? I know all about that. All right, so let me say this again. Let me go back to my screen. Am I on here fussing? Yep, because other individuals get to get on that platform, cussing each other out. I want to tell the real truth. None of these individuals have said this about these kids yet, and why we have problems. We have problems because we're apartment dwellers, many, and not homeowners. So we don't benefit our community. Listen to me again. In California alone, most of the schools where minorities are considered P5 schools, and the parents don't even know that their children are receiving an education that's undervalued. How are you going to give a kid in the 12th grade who has a 3 or 3rd grade, 4th grade education, how are you going to teach them coding? I would love to know. Somebody help me. And right here, it just told you our kids are subject to the entitlement of eligibility for, I'm not going to mention those things, compared to their white counterparts. You've been on with Big J tonight, man. I didn't mean to rant and rave with certain things. I'm just tired of it. I don't even go to people's channels no more. I try. I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's so much hypocrisy, you know, and that's why we're trying to bring people onto our shows who can make a difference. We're going to have a hairstylist come on next. Some young ladies can be hairstylists. I know hairstylists that make big paper, own homes, do other things. So we're going to have a hairstylist here in Los Angeles, California, or Bellflower, California, come on and talk about how she got started and what she's doing and how her clientele is so large. Then we're going to have a doctor come on, Latino young lady, very amazing, all right? She's involved actively in the community. So what we're doing, we're going to show you what you can be instead of just talking about what you should be. There's too many people telling our kids what they should be and nobody showing them what they can be. All right? If that's the truth, then when my church and myself go down to the Fred Jordan mission every year to feed the homeless, why are the numbers increasing? Why are more children down there? Give me some numbers. Give me some facts. Then talk about it. Other than that, leave it alone. There's a street downtown Los Angeles called San Julian. If you're ever in California and you can afford it, just go down there and drive through and see what's really going on. See what's really going on. See the number of the people with mental health, the number of people who are addicted to drugs, and then talk about it. See, before we can change individuals, we have to change the community. Max Weber, some of these other sociologists were so right. But sometimes when we reach a different platform, we want to use the community and not be a part of a community. See, you got to be a part of a community. Other than that, you can't change the community. And there's nothing wrong with it. If you don't really want to, just let it be known. Or somebody's going to let it be known that you're fake. Because we don't want to roll like that, do we? No. Hey, do me a favor. If you have not subscribed to our channel, now is an opportunity to hit that bell, and then so you'll be notified of our content as it's uploaded. Also, subscribe to our channel. Do me a favor, smash that like button if this video you approved. Also, leave a comment. Let us know what you think, and we do appreciate you. Again, have an amazing day. And you know what I'm going to say right here. I know you're saying it. Be the best, and the best you will become. God bless.